What's up, Tampa? It is May 29th. For those of you just joining us, welcome to Tampa Talk. I'm John.
And I'm Dahlia.
All right, what are we talking about?
Well, this week we've got tornadoes touching down in town and country, a huge property tax proposal from Governor DeSantis, and UTampa bringing home a national championship, as well as some growing concerns around affordable health insurance and evictions here in Florida.
All right, but first, before we get into the news, let's talk about, this week in the work.
Yeah, well, we're on the heels of June, which is hurricane season.
We're just about to go into hurricane season. In fact, we just sent out a email to our Respond Together network saying it's almost officially there.
Yeah. Hopefully that it's not a bad one. Everyone keeps talking about this El Nino, and I'm like, it's just such a hot topic right now. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, but I'm personally, I have no capacity for meteorology. I'm like, I don't understand.
No, I'm with you.
But I want my community to be prepared. Like yesterday picked up like a half a pallet of tarps and a half a pallet of emergency FEMA water that I was able to get my hands on because just in case, we have it on deck if needed. But kids are going to be out of school. So unrelated to hurricane season, it's like, it's super hot. We've been noticing even at the drop, people are coming in out of the heat. It's a lot harder to be outside. People are tenser for sure. People are have nowhere to go. And the value of our air conditioned space is
it's huge.
Huge. Kids being out of school is going to be changed. Summer's always like a weird shift. We're going to have people going away for here and there.
We'll have Monica coming in to take over the podcast for the next month.
Yeah, I'm excited about doing that with her. It'll be good.
I'm really excited for you guys. I think it'll be fun. And summer is interesting. It's specifically interesting in Florida to me because I feel like up north, summer is like you're finally out of the cold. Like you almost wake up, people are happy again. It's this transition into a really positive.
This is the opposite.
Yeah.
So that's right. So I know we do have some people, I don't know why outside of Tampa would care about listening to Tampa Talk, maybe because they love us. But we do have some listeners outside of Tampa. And so for folks in Canada or up north, it's like, this is our winter.
Yeah.
This is when you don't go outside.
Yeah.
Like bicycle sales for our bike shop. Yeah. This is when they'll really slump.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to go biking.
Interestingly though, recently they've been up, substantially up, which is great. And I'm wondering if it has to do with gas prices.
Oh, yeah.
Seasonally, it makes no sense. I
learned about a time where, I guess this was during the height of the global war on terror or something like that. And they reduced the highway speed limits because gas was so, they were trying to discourage driving, the consumption of gas, and so they decreased speed limits, and that's why we can only go 80 or whatever. That's why our speed limits are lower still to this day, something like that, which I thought was super interesting, but it had to do with gas prices. So I wouldn't be surprised if bike sales also had to do.
By the way, I don't think we reported on this or had a story on this, but a lady at the pump the other day walked over to me. It was very interesting. She was pumping gas next to me, and she walked over and she goes, "Have you been tracking your gas mileage?" And I was like, "What?" Yeah. She's like, "It has gone down. Do you think you're getting gas more often? Just does it feel like you're getting gas more often?" I was like, "Kinda." She's like, yeah, you're not getting as good a mileage." And she's like, "I'm about to run an experiment." And I was like, okay. And she's like, "You see the price of Supreme, no ethanol gas?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "It's high, right?" And I was like, "Well, all the gas is high." She's like, "Right." She's like, I've run several cycles monitoring my gas mileage, and I'm about to put Supreme in because my theory is because basically the state has passed an allowance. So we're supposed to be 10% ethanol. They're allowing for 15% ethanol, which is winter gas, but it's we could put worse gas in. It's low season gas.
We use less of the gas.
So that so you're supplementing the gas as filler.
It's gluten.
It's the filler. It's we're cutting our gas. And so she's like, "We're getting really bad gas mileage." And she's like, "But we're also screwing up our engines." And she's like, "Don't put that in your lawnmower." And I was like, "I don't know any of this." Yeah. And she's like, yeah. So and I should have got her info to hear about the conclusion of her experiment. But she's like, "I think that I'm going to run a few cycles on Supreme and save money by spending more on the better gas." I don't know what the results of her tests were.
Yeah, but interesting. Yeah.
But I was like, man, this lady's out here. And she had an app of like where all the gas prices were what, and I was like, I don't do that.
I actually specifically get gas at the Wawa right here because it's always the cheapest.
Is it?
Well, compared like for the streets that I drive around, like if you get into downtown, it gets more expensive. If you get into Temple Terrace, it gets more expensive. Right here in Sulphur Springs, gas is lowest.
That's just right.
And so that's
where this conversation happened.
Well, she'd be at the Wawa. Sticker shocked by the Shell on 56 because it is always like significantly higher and it's just down the street.
I always wonder if our current stories will ever be something we talk about in This Week in Tampa history.
Oh, for sure.
But let's get into This Week in Tampa history.
Well, this week, we're going back to June 1st, 1960, when the FBI officially opened its Tampa division.
Which, honestly, I mean, just in the timeline, feels kind of late thinking about, like, all of Florida history.
Yeah, but 1960s was when we were really popping off, right? And so up until then, the territory was actually handled by the Miami division.
But Miami had so many investigations and such a huge territory that eventually the FBI recommended opening a dedicated office here in Tampa.
And they wasted no time. Just months after opening Tampa, agents captured one of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives.
Robert William Schultz Jr., an escaped federal prisoner, interstate auto theft charges, moving back and forth between Tampa and Orlando before agents caught him right before he planned to flee the country.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like a plot of a crime movie, which honestly Tampa gives plot of a movie. Like it is the part of the plots of the movie.
Yeah, we often have stories that are like, that would also be a good movie.
Yeah.
All right, so, we've started this city council spotlight. So this week in city council, it was mostly kind of a budget, like the whole day.
Yes, which sounds kind of boring, but realize that is ultimately what determines what the city prioritizes.
So one of the major topics was the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funds, the CDBG-DR money.
Did you know there was a DR on the end of that CDBG?
Well, that's a distinct CDBG, right? Yeah.
And so those dollars is going to shape a lot of future conversations about infrastructure, resiliency, housing, and storm recovery.
Also, a lot of mid-year budget review from financial staff and another conversation around the city's social action and arts funding.
Which has been a pretty contentious topic lately because funding for smaller nonprofits and arts organizations have been shrinking.
Last year, the proposed amount got cut roughly in half, and now council members are trying to figure out how programs survive moving forward.
And then finally, there was a discussion around the convention center operating as an enterprise fund, meaning it basically functions separate from the city's general fund.
So that sounds technical, but it matters a lot once people start debating where city dollars are allocated and where they should or should not go.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if they're probably generating a lot more revenue, right?
Yep.
What's in the news?
Oh, yeah. So big congratulations this week to the University of Tampa men's lacrosse team.
The Spartans won the NCAA Division II National Championship in overtime.
It was 12-11 over Adelphi, and it was revenge too because Adelphi beat Tampa in overtime in last year's title game.
Yeah, so this year Tampa flipped the script.
Tommy Ortega scored the game-winning, the game winner. Let's say I don't know if they call them points. I don't even know. Just 2 minutes left in overtime.
Yeah, they actually finished season 22-1, which is an incredible year. And, we don't really talk about UT sports as much as we talk about USF sports. So shout out to UT.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was I saw the clips of that final moment and it was a lot of celebration for sure.
So in major Florida news, Governor Ron DeSantis announced a special legislative session next week focused on property tax relief.
All right, so this is potentially a huge deal for homeowners across the state.
The proposal is called Save Our Homes from Excessive Property Taxes.
Very explicit title.
Yes.
For the headline piece is that the headline of this is that it would immediately increase the homestead exemption and create a path toward eventually eliminating property taxes on homestead properties altogether.
Which is kind of the sentence that definitely gets people's attention, this idea that we can eliminate property taxes.
Oh, for sure. So DeSantis said local government property tax collections have nearly doubled in the last 7 years, from $32 billion to $60 billion.
And projections say they could hit $83 billion by 2032.
So the proposal would exempt the first $250,000 of a homestead's value from taxation. create protections for small businesses, and establish a state trust fund to help local governments continue core services like schools, infrastructure, and public safety, which would be an absolute necessity, right? Because that's where that money would be coming from.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a real allocation. And I am interested in this dollar amount. I haven't really looked into this too much, but that is kind of just your average American, average Floridian household size, right? That $250. Like basically, that is actually, if you have a $2 million house, this isn't going to make that much of a difference for you, right? Because what's the taxation on $1.5 million versus $1.75 million, right?
But it would exempt the majority of the price of most of the houses. Well, right. Most of the accessible houses in Tampa. That's about, you're not getting a house that cheap here probably anymore.
No, but your valuation of your home too, not the sale value, right? So that is probably the valuation of most of the homes in the suburbs, like the accessible neighborhoods. So that actually would be huge for people.
So here's the thing, and why a lot of people are actually questioning this is if you recognize that and this is what DeSantis is saying, local government property tax collection has nearly doubled. And a lot of the stories we're seeing, so you have the state versus the Fed. So this is some of the stories we'll cover. And then the state versus the local municipalities, which we've seen a lot of stories with DeSantis saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. But this is their funding. So city of Tampa, the Hillsborough County, their money is coming in, especially the municipalities or the incorporated cities. Their money comes from the millage rate on the property taxes.
Totally,
basically.
No.
This is how the budget that the city council was debating all week and the city council was money coming from this almost entirely.
Totally. No, it doesn't really make when you try to think about, okay, but where does the money come from otherwise? It's hard to even, especially when you actually think about take Temple Terrace. That is a lot of the homes in Temple Terrace.
Yeah.
So you have taxation would be on only 30,000 residents, now probably shrinking to a quarter of those residents. I mean, I would think that most of the homes in Temple Terrace are valued in and around 250 versus City of Tampa, still going to affect them drastically, but they got Bayshore, right? You're still going to get the big high dollar
homes. That's right. So whatever it shakes out as for the municipality. And this is where you see okay, they're talking about putting a state trust fund in place, basically creating a dependency on the state funding for the municipality, which, this is just trying to unpack the details of this rather than make commentary on good, bad, or whatever. It's just to say that does create a bit of a dependence
on the state.
And there's a lot of red-blue conflict between a lot of these, right? To go, hey, the state is saying we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this. And now our dollars are going to come from there as well. And so you got a lot of local government operations and advocates for local government that would be very concerned. So this will be something I'm sure we'll be hearing more about.
I actually look forward to continuing to talk about it.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. Yeah. Because everybody in theory, you're I don't want to pay property taxes.
Well, no, as a homeowner, I'm sick.
Yeah. But
but I want a road to get to my house.
Yes. And a school by my house.
Electricity
that's quality.
Would be good. All the things. Running water would be great.
I do want my city to make decisions for me. I do think I would prefer to be governed by my local government than by the state, right?
So if we're gonna say what do we at a philosophical level, this is where I'm I want individual autonomy, right? Then it's family autonomy. Well, no, sorry, communities have to pool resources.
Yeah,
but I would just say the government, the more local, the better.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the more we could go, hey, we decide what's good for our community, for our neighborhood, for our city, and it should diminish.
Yeah.
And out to the federal.
Totally. But then some of those issues that we're having, like transportation, for example, part of I think the barrier to that is that I think we reported on City of Tampa pulling out on HART buses going into the county. Right. And it's if the funds were actually managed at a higher level, things like train infrastructure would be a lot easier. Anyways, so you can keep going back and forth on
when a lot of those funds are coming from federal. So a lot of what's happening and why I think even HART is having a hard time going, hey, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Is because it changes at the federal level and there's dependence on that money.
Yeah.
It really, it's all super complicated. And one of the things we try to do on this show is just to go, here's what it is. And we're thinking real time about it or whatever, is rather than taking some hard position on something to go these are complicated. We're pulling stories from everywhere we can. Obviously, some of these are contentious debates, and we just want to convey them to you guys without a ton of but also like we could share. Yeah, I got thoughts. We got thoughts.
John and I established we think out loud.
You might actually have. Yeah, that's right. We were talking the other day. It was like, if I'm not talking, nothing is happening. I was like, that's a truly extrovert. You might have thoughts about this next one, by the way. So Florida Kid Care, this is another statewide thing. So statewide stories this week, the state's low-cost health insurance program for children in lower income families.
And it's getting a lot of attention because Florida is currently the only state in the country removing children from the program over missed premium payments.
So Kid Care is basically Florida's version of the federal CHIP program, which is Child Health Insurance Program. It helps families who make too much to qualify for traditional Medicaid, but still really can't afford private insurance.
So most families in the program pay somewhere around $15 to $20 a month, depending on income.
Now, in 2023, Florida lawmakers actually voted unanimously to expand Kid Care eligibility so that more children could qualify for coverage.
But around that same time, the federal government also passed a rule requiring states to keep children continuously enrolled in subsidized health coverage for 12 months, even if a payment gets missed or there's a paperwork issue.
So Florida challenged that rule in court and argued that the state should still be allowed to remove children for non-payment.
According to the reporting from KFF and PolitiFact, thank you, about 43,000 children have been removed from the Kid Care since late 2024 because of missed premium payments.
So supporters of the federal rule say that it prevents kids from losing health care because of a temporary financial hardship or an administrative paperwork mistake.
Meanwhile, Florida officials argue they should have more flexibility in how the program is managed and funded.
And so this is both, like we were talking about, this is a healthcare debate, but also the federal versus a state authority fight kind of at the same time.
Yeah, well, stay tuned. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me that kids, but that's my Canadian to me.
Well, no, you'll probably have thoughts.
Yeah, I have thoughts for sure. But I was issued a healthcare at age 0, right? So,
and I do think actually these suits from the state to the federal right now this is actually a restriction. It's a federal restriction that you have to give them 12 months or whatever that timeline is. I forget. But is that the state of Florida is currently breaking that law.
Right. By
and suing, going, hey, that's a bad law. We're breaking it. Whereas like Texas, I think was one of the states I looked up that goes, we also don't like it, but we're not breaking it. And they're asking for it to be changed. Yeah. Right. So there's a different posture for sure.
Well, in weather news, Tampa had a tornado this week.
Super crazy. It's so weird to even say that. But so this is an EF0 tornado, basically touched down in Town and Country during Sunday evening storms.
So it started as a water spout before moving onshore near the Bayport area, and winds reached around 79 miles per hour.
So thankfully the damage was minor and nobody was injured.
Yeah, but not exactly the Sunday you're looking for.
No, it did get a little weathery recently. Another housing story gets attention this week, involves eviction timelines here in Florida.
So during the pandemic, some renters living in federally backed housing had 30 days before eviction proceedings could move forward under CARES Act protections.
But now many properties are returning to Florida's standard 3-day notice period as courts and agencies continue debating whether those federal protections still apply.
Housing advocates say the shorter timeline makes it harder for renters to seek assistance or legal help, while landlord groups say early communication between tenants and property managers can help avoid evictions altogether.
According to housing researchers, eviction filings in parts of Florida, including Hillsborough County, are now above pre-pandemic levels.
We'll get into events this weekend. Keel Farms is having their Summerfest until August 2nd from 11 till 5. This is free, and it's going to be every Saturday and all summer long. And it's going to have free water slides, bounce houses, food truck style eats, refreshing drinks, and some family-friendly fun.
That's all weekend, right? Saturday
all
and
weekend
Sunday.
From May 31st through August 2nd.
Nice.
And then next Friday, not today, next Friday is the night market at Rude Awakening Farm from 6 to 9. It's over at Rude Awakening Farm, which is in the Sulphur Springs Seminole Heights area at 110 East Hanlon.
You got it memorized. I love that.
Not to be confused with the night market taking place on Water Street on June 6th from 6 to 9 p.m., which is going to be held across Via Corazon and Raybon Plaza.
So there is a night market.
There's 2 night markets.
At Rude Awakening.
Yes.
Which one's cooler?
I mean, I'm going to advocate for Rude Awakening
Farm.
Yeah.
There you go. Guys, thank you so much for listening. That's what we got for you this week. I do want to invite you to just engage with this show, be in touch with us, comment on it, rate it, share it on your socials. Just help us spread the word and kind of get more folks paying attention, keeping their finger on the pulse of what's going on around Tampa. You can find a link directly to the video podcast, tampatalk.xyz. And if you want this to go straight into your inbox every Friday morning at 6 a.m., you can subscribe at wordonthestreets.xyz.
All right. Well, that's what we're talking about, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And until July.
For you.
Yeah.
Y'all be good.